You are listening to the People First podcast.
People First is a self-advocacy group run by people with learning disabilities, and People First podcast is a platform to raise awareness about real issues that affect people with learning disabilities in our community and all around the world.
We aim to inform and entertain our listeners by interviewing interesting guests and talking about the things that really matter to us. This is like having a stage to speak out and get our voices heard.
As the festive season approaches, many people in the UK are looking forward to go to the theatre to watch a pantomime. The pantomime is a festive theatre show that is very popular in Britain, but strangely not very popular in the rest of the world. Bradford Lambeth Theatre is famous for pantomimes. And on this episode of the podcast, we're very pleased to speak to Billy Pearce, star of Bradford Theatre's biggest pantomime. We all want to thank Billy for taking time to talk to us during your busy time. Hope you enjoy the show.
Hey!
I'm signing my wardrobe.
Oh my word! I hope you're well, Billy. It's a great pleasure to interview you.
Well, I am well, thank you very much for asking, and I hope you guys are too. And it's my pleasure to talk to you, love. Thank you for inviting me.
It's no problem, Billy. I've been to the pantomime about 5 times now with Mum and Dad, and it's just incredible.
Oh, have you enjoyed it?
You were brilliant. You were absolutely brilliant.
Are you sure you haven't got me mixed up with somebody else?
Well, how can I?
Exactly.
Who doesn't know you, Billy? Who can't recognise you?
You're very kind, love. Thank you very much. Right, I'm poised. I'm ready. Fire away.
What made you get into acting?
Well, my mum had a right big dancing school in Yorkshire. She had the biggest dancing school in Yorkshire, and she was very, very well known, my mum. But in them days, like when I was young, 100 years ago, not many boys did dancing classes because they used to get the mickey taken out of them and stuff. But because they were always short of boys, I used to get roped in right from being a little kid. So I was, when I was 6, I was a Siamese twin in The King and I at the Empire Theatre in Leeds. And so, I'm sorry, dog's barking. And he's a mixture between a cockapoo and a boxer. He's a boxer poo. No, he's a boxer poo. So I used to get roped in, and that's how it started. Then I went to Butlins. I'm just going to shut my door because the dog's doing the edit. Freddie! Right, I'm back.
Thank God for that.
I don't know what he's barking at, but anyway, so I went to Butlins with a mate of mine as a red coat, but we were really a song and dance act. So I tap danced, I played guitar and banjo and ukulele, and we used to do tap dancing as well. And but as time's gone on, I've got more and more into comedy, and all those things that I've just mentioned have fallen by the wayside, so I don't have to cart them round anymore. Some of them were quite heavy, you know, the guitars and the banjo and that were heavy. So I don't cart them around. So I'm basically gone into stand-up. But that's it. It kind of evolved. I never really set out to do what I'm doing. It just happened, so that's how that started. I don't know if I would have done it if I'd have known how hard it was going to be. Does that answer your question? I'm not quite sure if I've answered your question.
Yeah. What has been your most memorable pantomime?
Oh, well, that is a bit of a tough one, to be honest, because I've done so many wonderful ones. It'd be easier to tell you the ones that are not memorable, but then I can't remember them. So,
That's so funny, that is. It really is.
well, I work with various people, Danny LaRue, John Inman, and all those kinds of people. And recently, Linda Bellingham, who's sadly passed away, Paul Chuckle, one at Chuckle Brothers, but I think that I love doing, what do we do? Peter Pan. When I was Smee, I've done that a couple of times, and I've right enjoyed because I like all the sword fighting and things like that.
Was that the same pantomime that they had you swinging off a big massive rope at one point?
Blimey, you've got a good memory, haven't you? I haven't done that for a long time, but yes, it probably was. I used to swing right across the stage on a rope and all that. But very often, a lot of the stuff that I used to be able to do, A, I'm getting old, but B, they won't let me do it anymore. Health and safety is so ridiculous now that they...
It really has changed. Yeah. It really has changed over the years. And
yes, well, I've risked my life many a time for the sake of pantomime, but they won't let me. They won't let me do it now. But I've had broken fingers, broken toes, broken ribs. I've knocked myself out. I've done all sorts in the pantomime. I do throw myself about a bit, but I love it because it makes people laugh. That's basically what I'm happy to.
I think I saw you on the Vespa scooter. Oh my word.
Oh, well, yes. I think that was one of the most terrifying things I've ever done, to be honest.
Because I can't imagine it.
Well, it was very difficult to control, and it was electric, so you only had to touch the handlebar. In fact, the first night, I'd been rehearsing, and the battery had got down to about half to a quarter power. So it wasn't as vicious, but on the opening night, the man charged it all up. So when I went out, it was off like a rocket, and I literally ran over one of the boy dancers.
Oh my word.
Honestly, I thought I'd killed him. And he actually is doing the panto with me this year, funnily enough. So he's got some guts coming back. But anyway, I thought I might have killed him, and I had to carry on. I went into the scenery and I cut my leg and everything. It was so vicious. Nothing. But what terrified me more, when I was 16, I had a scooter, a Vespa scooter, and a man ran into me when I was 16, and I nearly died. I had to have 2/3 of my liver taken out, my spleen, damaged my kidneys, put my ribs through my lungs, and I've had ongoing. I have to take tablets every day. To this day, still do antibiotics because my immune system is not good. So, as you probably know, especially over COVID, I've had to be really careful. But that's all to do with that Vespa. So it used to terrify me, that Vespa. I'm not doing that anymore. But they made me keep it in because it flew as well over the audience. Do you remember that, when it flew above the audience?
Awesome. Yeah. It was absolutely awesome. The greatest thing. And I'm blind. I can't see. I was born without any sight. So it was real for me just to hear it. It was so real.
I think that's wonderful what you've just said, because that makes it all worthwhile, and that you remember it as well, which is it's something that I love to be able to do, is to please other people, you know, to I love the sound of them laughing and all that, and it's a gift really to be able to do it.
It's a gift coming back to the Alhambra to see you. It's a real gift.
Oh, bless you, love. You're very kind. Well, it's a gift to see you today, and I very, very much appreciate you asking me. I mean, I love the pantomime. We don't have Christmas, you know, so I don't have a Christmas like other people do. I did last year for the first time in years. It was weird.
I had a question.
Okay.
How did COVID affect you?
Well, I think when it first happened, when we had to lock down and all my work got cancelled, The sun was shining, and I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. But then as time went on, it got worse and worse, and lots of things happened, which I won't bore you with. But my mum passed away with COVID, and I had to organise a funeral, and it could only have 15 people in it, and going to visit her and all that kind of thing. And it turned into a nightmare, really. And I'm glad. I think it's affected everybody in different ways, depending on what your circumstances are. And I feel a bit guilty moaning, because I know, as ever, there's always people much worse off. And some friends of mine that live on their own have been on their own, without anybody around them. They've had to isolate all on their own, which that must be hard. At least I've had my family and the dog.
Which theatre have you most enjoyed working at?
Well, that's quite an easy one, isn't it? Although, obviously, the Alhambra comes to mind straight away. But in Blackpool, there's a lovely theatre called the Grand Theatre. And I did about 20 years there in the summer seasons with lots of famous people. And I used to love going to the Grand. It's a beautiful theatre, and that was one of my favourites. But obviously the Alhambra, it's like going home to me, because I've been going there for 20 years in pantomime, and I've got to know everybody, all the staff, and the front of house staff, and the backstage crew, and so they're like all my friends, really. So I can't, and it is a wonderful theatre. Sometimes when I sit there in the theatre, if I go and watch another show, and I'm sat in the auditorium and I look at the stage and the ceiling and the beauty of it, and I can't believe that I've been on that stage. I can't believe that. I think to myself, have I actually been up there and on that stage? Because it's lovely. Because the rest of the year I do a lot of places that you wouldn't want to go in, to be honest. So it's I appreciate it very much to be able to work in that theatre. But there is lots of other places that I enjoy going to, but they mean so much more to me, to be honest. There's the Alhambra and the Grand. I don't know if that answers your question, Tom. I hope so, love.
Which characters have you most enjoyed acting as?
Buttons, of course, in Cinderella. I've enjoyed playing all the lead parts. So in Aladdin, I've been Aladdin. In Peter Pan, I was Smee. I was always one of the main characters. But now, because I'm getting old, I can't play the sort of romantic lead because it doesn't look right. So because I'm old, and if you've got a 20-year-old girl playing, like this year, Sleeping Beauty, it won't be right for me. So I'm King Billy this year, being funny, of course, but it's my daughter is Sleeping Beauty. So I think the days have gone when I could play my favourite parts because age catches up and it doesn't look right, basically. So I hope that answers your question. But I've done Cinderella loads of times, and I love that because in Cinderella, you get a chance to do the sad bits as well as the funny bits. So when Cinderella says, I've fallen in love, and I think she's talking about me, and I say, I think I'm in love too. And that's that. But then it dawns on me that she's not talking about me. She's talking about some man she's met in the forest. And she only loves me like a brother. And she could never marry me or anything like that. And it's very touching, so one minute you're making them laugh and the next minute you're making them cry, which I quite enjoy doing that. Mind, if you saw the act, you would cry. I've been booed off walking on.
Which celebrities have you enjoyed working with the most?
Oh, now then. Well, let me think now. Well, once again, I'd say my favourite was a lovely, lovely man, was a bloke called John Inman, who is sadly no longer with us. A lot of these people I mentioned aren't. But he used to be in a programme called Are You Being Served? And his catchphrase was, I'm free. And so I was lucky enough to do summer season and pantomime with John, and he became a really good friend to me. And I loved him very much. And then recently, John Chalice, who was Boise in Fools and Horses, who I worked with him a couple of times and we became very good friends, and he's sadly gone. recently, which really upset me. Linda Bellingham is another one who's no longer with us. Who else would I say? And of course, they're the named people, but there's a lot of people that I've worked with a lot that you wouldn't know who they are, but they're proper professional, wonderful people to work with. So there's a guy called Jay Worthy, who I've worked with loads of times, and he's not with me this year, but he's done Dame, Ugly Sister, The Baddie, he's been brilliant. Jenny Gaynor's another one. And I've got a girl with me who you will have seen if you saw the last few pantomimes. She's called Sarah Coggin, and she's been with me a few times now. She's lovely. She's an Irish girl and very, very, very talented. That's the thing. But humble with it. I like people who aren't big-headed. Unlike myself. Oh, dear.
Have you ever seen or met Ken Dodd?
Yes.
Has he ever been in a pantomime with you?
No. I never was lucky enough to work with Ken Dodd, who I have nothing but admiration for. And he was the last of a breed of comedians that you'll never, ever see again. So when he passed away, it was the end of an era. At the end of a certain time in show business, he was the last of that kind of wonderful breed of entertainers. I wouldn't even put my name in the same breath as him. I loved him. He was very kind to me. I met him a few times. And he once wrote an article, which I've got somewhere in a paper. They asked Ken Dodd who was his favourite comedian. And he mentioned a few names, but mentioned me. But he didn't like me working. I do an adult show, which is Blue, Rude. So I don't just do pantomime. And he didn't like me doing that. But that, Ken was never a Blue comic. And so I appreciated what he thought, but I have to pay my mortgage in that. So I have to carry on doing it. So I'm still doing my adult show as we speak. But he was a lovely man and nothing but praises for him. Wonderful and kind. A very kind man. In fact, he was a patron at the City Varieties. So he was a patron, and when he died, they asked me to do it. So I was very honoured to take over from Ken Dodd as a patron for the City Varieties.
That's brilliant, Billy. That's brilliant. There's another question. Is it true that you started Panto at the Wolverhampton Grand?
I did. How do you know that?
I've seen some of your interviews on YouTube, some of your recent interviews,
Okay.
and I've heard you mention the Wolverhampton Grand. And is it true you actually were involved in like a sort of Maypole scene?
Well, when you say that was the first panto, it was really as Billy Pearce, but so that's a different panto you're talking about. So years ago, I was in a double act with my girlfriend, and we got a job at the at Catford, Lewisham Concert Hall.
That was it, Lewisham.
Yeah,
I've heard that one. Yeah,
Yes.
Lewisham. We both heard that interview. Lewisham Concert Hall at Catford.
That's the one. Well, I was hardly in it. I was in a double act, and I wasn't in it. It was all the On the Buses at the time that were a big series on the telly. So all the lines and all that went to them, and it got to one thing. They were doing a maypole dance. I don't know if you remember what a maypole dance is. So we used to do it when we were kids, and nobody wanted to carry the maypole on. So I volunteered. I said, I'll do it. And I took the maypole on, and while they danced round, I had to hold on to the bottom of it and be a weight to stop it falling over. So that was my job, to be a weight at the bottom of the maypole. And then when they'd finished, just to put it over my shoulder and carry it off again, because nobody else wanted to do it.
Now, here's a trick question. Have you ever played a genie of the lamp?
No, I've never done that. I did try, but I couldn't get in it. My belly was too fat, and I could only get my arm and just the tip of my nose out the spout.
What year did you have your wife and son playing your pantomime with you?
Oh, well, it would be. He's 21, so he'd be about 8, I think. So it was going back a bit. I'd have to sit down and work that one out on my phone. So 2011, and then probably about 2005, something like that it'd be, I would think. He did a few pantos with me, actually, and my wife was a dancer. So, I met my wife in Blackpool, and we started going out and seeing each other for a bit and finished up together 20-odd years ago. So my boy's 21 now, but it was one of my proudest moments was to have them on the stage with me, especially in the finale. I used to have a lump in my throat in the finale. Very proud.
I heard from an interview, Billy, that one year the scene was Robin Hood. Is that right?
Yeah, we did Robin Hood, yeah. I think it's the only time I've done Robin Hood. When we did that show, Little John was the tallest man in England. He was called Neil Fingleton, and he was 7'7" tall.
Oh my word!
Yeah, 7'7". He's not with us either, bless him. He passed away, but he was a lovely, lovely man. I don't know. It sounds like a jinx working with me, doesn't it?
It sounds like you have really worked with some fantastic people.
I have.
But here's a question. How many stand-alones have you done? Stand-alone shows out of pantomime?
You mean when I work alone?
Yeah, your solo work.
It's not as busy as it used to be. And of course, I haven't worked for a long time, but I'm working now. I'm at St. George's Hall tomorrow night. And then the night after, I'm at Blackpool. And the night after, I'm in a new club in Batley. So I'm busy, and I'm rehearsing as we speak now, getting ready for pantomime and things. So it's nice to be busy again after all this time.
Yeah, not surprised.
Over to you, Tom.
Can you tell us any unexpected funny moments that happened on stage?
Yes. One that springs to mind was one year we had to do Jack and the Beanstalk, and we had a real cow as Daisy the cow. Oh. And it was a very small cow called a Dexter, but it's still massive. When you stood next to it, it comes up to your chest high. And but so I had to get to know Daisy before the panto started. So she was kept in a barn on a farm in Bradford. And I used to go over and spend a couple of hours with her in the stable and give her bread. She told me to give it bread. So I'd take a loaf of bread and talk to it and all that. So she got to know my voice. So when we were doing the show, the guy who was we did a lot of circus things that year. So the circus man who played the ringleader of the circus in the top hat and the tails and everything was a proper circus performer. So I said to the guys in the wings that if the cow, because you can't, animals will do the business, it doesn't matter to them. So often they'll do a poo on the stage, like the horses and all that. They just do it, which can be funny. I keep a brush and shovel in the wings, right, to go and collect the poo, because you can't leave it there. And I make jokes out of it and threaten to throw it in the audience and all that sort of stuff. And they're all screaming, and it is funny. So I saw that Daisy the cow, I could tell by her body language that she was going to let one go, a wee. A poo. I thought, so an arch tail comes up and all that. So I ran into the wings and I couldn't find the brush and shovel. Somebody had moved it. So I'm scrabbling around, and as I eventually, it seemed like forever, but I found the brush and shovel. And as I was walking back on stage, there was a massive roar from 1,400 people of huge laughter. And there was Jan Eric, the circus ringleader. He'd taken his top hat off, and instead of doing a poo, she was having a wee. And he caught the whole wee, the whole of it in his top hat. It's brilliant.
It must have been such a sight, Billy. It
Yeah.
really must have got the audience laughing that year.
Oh, they were hysterical. It was so funny. It was funny. I mean, I wish you could train the cow to do that every night. It'd be brilliant.
That would be so
I was going to say that could have been
funny.
part of the show.
It really
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we've had loads of things like that. Once I was on this arm thing. I shouldn't tell you this. But Aladdin's playing carpet is on it like an arm, like a big crane.
Yes.
And on the back of it, you've got all the weights to counterbalance, like a seesaw. So on it. But anyway, I was on the magic carpet as Aladdin, and as it went up in the air, something clunked and it locked. I couldn't get back down. And they couldn't get it was so high up, they couldn't get it off the stage. So all the lights had to come up and they had to get a big long ladder and I had to climb down off the magic flying carpet. I know, it ruined the whole
Ruined the whole thing.
Yes.
Oh,
And
my word.
another time I was with Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men, who weren't allowed to speak normally. It was all so they had to talk like that. So I found I could translate by doing a bit of tap dancing. So if they tap danced, I could understand what they were saying. So I wrote it. I said, so you've lost all your money and now you haven't got a pot to play in, right? Instead of a pot to piss in. But one afternoon, I weren't thinking, and I said, and you've lost all your money and you haven't got a pot to piss in. I went like that, I don't believe I said it. Well, straight away I apologised, of course, to the audience. I went, oh no, I can't believe it. I mean, and they forgave me, the audience. I didn't mean it, and they knew I didn't mean it. So, because you don't, obviously, swearing in a pantomime, you don't do that. It's kids, it's about kids. So I say a lot worse in my adult show.
Have you ever had people with disabilities in the pantomimes?
People with disabilities in the pantomime? No, I don't. I can't say I have. Obviously, we've worked with the people who physically, like the seven dwarfs in Snow White and things. But I don't think I'm ashamed to say no. I don't think I have. It's not a bad idea. I'll tell you who I've worked with. You remember Jack, the young lad from Halifax or Huddersfield, that were in, he had like a Zimmer frame and he'd come out. He did comedy and all that. He won Britain's Got Talent.
Oh, yeah, Jack Cameron. Yeah, he was brilliant.
Yes, I don't know if he's still going or not. No, disabilities are not something that I can really honestly say, sadly, that, I can't think of anything really no. It wouldn't be a problem to me to do that, though, I have to say. It's just the powers that be. I don't book them, I just work with them.
Have you got any advice for anyone who's thinking of getting into acting or just starting out on acting?
Don't do it. Forget it. Don't forget it. It's not worth it. Well, I do say to people when they ask me occasionally, how do I get to do what you do? But what they don't forget is how long it's taken me to get here and what I've had to do to get here. And I've gone without food and all that and no money. And, lots of people wouldn't obviously do that. There's been times when I've been out of work and struggling and, so I've been lucky. And I think I say to people, if you want to do it, you have to decide that you actually want to do it. Because if you're not really sure you want to do it, there's somebody stood right behind you who really wants to do it, and they'll kill you and move you out the way. They'll kill their own mother to get you out the way. So if you don't want to do it, make sure you want to do it, because, you can have a go and then decide, well, I don't think it's for me. But I always say it's not a job, it's a passion. you know, you love getting up there and entertaining people. That's just part of it. But it's like I have some guys that work with me to do my sound, you know, when I'm doing the clubs and stuff. So I have a big van with the big sound system in it and two men who drive to the gig, set it all up for me. I turn up about an hour before I'm on. I do my acts, about an hour and a half. I walk out, get in my car and I drive home and I wait for them to come back with the van. But they work like all the antisocial hours. So it's Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and they're not getting back home till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, not many people really would want to do that. You know, it's your social life goes out the window, and you know there's a lot of you know, it's not glamorous. People think it's glamorous. I say that in my act. You know, I say people think it's glamorous, and I can feel all the girls looking at me thinking, "Ain't you like Brad Pitt?" But I did enter a Brad Pitt lookalike competition, and I came second. A Nigerian won it.
Hey.
I've just landed myself a role in a show, actually.
Have you?
Yeah.
Right. That's brilliant. Do you know the one thing though, Tom, right? It's good for you to do stuff like that. Because even if you don't have a career, sometimes it's like my mum's dancing school, it gives you confidence in the other things you do. You know, if you can learn to talk in front of people, it gives you confidence and makes you a better person, if you see what I mean. And so even like the kids who went to my mum's dancing school that don't have a career in show business, but it gives them confidence in life. It gives you more about you somehow, I think. I think my son, all his little dancing lessons, he's going to university now, but he doesn't mind getting up and talking in front of people because he's done it before. It's done him good, you know. It'll do you good, Tom, to do that and learn your lines and all. It's discipline, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the things are a bit tricky to do.
Yeah, but it's a challenge, love. If everything was easy,
Yeah.
There would be no point in doing it, would there?
No, exactly.
If it's any consolation to you, Tom, I'm absolutely terrified every time I walk on a stage. Honestly, even after all these years, I get angry with myself. I'm a nervous wreck sometimes. But once I've got on there, I'm all right. But and that last 10 minutes before I walk out there is horrendous. And sometimes I'm so nervous, I have to hold my microphone with 2 hands because it's shaking so much. It's true. And not everybody's like that, I suppose. I know loads of people who, and the beauty of it, when you walk out there, you can't show them that you're nervous.
Oh.
Because that's your chink in your armour and they'll have you.
Yeah.
I liked you a few years ago when you sung that one about, what's that Andy Williams one? She's my babe. She's my baby or something.
Oh, I don't know. I've done that many, Luke. It all goes into a bit of a blur. And it seems like years since I've done Panto because we had a year off last year.
We did, and it felt so different without it. It felt so not real, really. It felt so unreal without a pantomime.
It did for me, love. I mean, I kept thinking I should have been rehearsing. I'd learnt it all. And then when it got to Christmas, we only get Christmas Day off. So, and you have to stop drinking at dinner times because you've got 2 shows to do on Boxing Day. But I could carry on drinking and stayed up late and all that. And then it got to Boxing Day and I was thinking at sort of 2 o'clock, it's time, the show's starting now. And I was looking at it and it did seem weird having a Christmas at home, which I've never had for donkey's years. I enjoyed it though. It was lovely. You know, we just had my mum and father-in-law and my wife and my son, and that was it.
I'm not surprised, but have you ever done that thing where you come on, opened on, and you've been flying through the air, the bit where they get you on and you actually got lifted above the curtain, and it makes you, and the curtain opens and you're sort of held up by someone. Do you know what I mean?
it's called flying. You have to wear a harness. It's like a parachute harness.
That's just what I mean. That's
Yes.
just what I mean.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
Oh yeah, loads of times. You know, one of the best ones though, Luke, was I did a tap routine with all the kids and the chorus people, and it were top hat and tails. And in it, I tap danced up the side of the stage, leaning outwards. So I tap dance up, get to the top, and then tap dance right across the top, upside down, and then come back down the other side. It looked amazing, but it was hard to do. But I loved that. That was with the harness on.
It sounds really scary.
Well, funnily enough, you know you're not going to fall because it's like I say, health and safety is really serious. And when we were going to do it, I had to drive all the way down to London, to a big studio in London where they'd rigged it all up for me to practice.
Oh, wow.
But I were only there 10 minutes. I did it straight away. I didn't have any problems, and I never missed a beat the whole time of the panto. It looked more dangerous and more scary than it actually was. You know.
Were you nervous on the day, or did you manage pretty well?
Yeah, I'm normally pretty good. I mean, when I was upside down tap dancing the first time I did it, there was poo coming out my collar.
Oh no! Oh my God!
No, I'm only kidding.
I know, Billy, I know that. What an image, no, what a horrible.
Yeah, so I've done loads of things like that. And the flying, it's great to be able to do it. And sometimes, like like Jack and the Beanstalk and things like that. So when you climb the beanstalk, you can be in a harness going up. And also one year I had to fight a great big gorilla, and it was huge. So it was as big as its body finished on the stage to its arms and all that. So it held me in its hand and threw me about and that. But I was actually on the wires, so there's no weight on the hand. But it was all robotic, it was controlled like a great big radio-controlled aeroplane or something that's controlled all these. I mean, it's amazing, really. They're very secretive about all that. You're not allowed to take any pictures backstage, because they're so secretive. They don't want anybody taking pictures and all that. It's very, you can be executed if you...
You could be, or told off. As they say.
Well, you get told off, yeah, you would get told off. Yeah, even me, I get told off.
I just want to say from us all, we have really enjoyed it. I look forward to maybe being able to come with Mum and Dad to this year's pantomime and hearing your song.
That'll be great. That'll be great, love. Well, I would have said hello, like I normally do, but I've already been told by the management of the pantomime, no visitors. I can't even have my wife backstage. There's going to be no kids in it because of the risk of COVID, the sunbeams. So first time in 100 and odd years when we're not having sunbeams.
No sunbeams. So what's going to replace it?
Well, we're going to have extra cast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the dancers and singers, I think there's a couple more of them. But there's too much of a risk, with COVID and all the chaperones and all the, there's about 20 odd kids involved in it. So it's a lot, really. So I kind of sympathise, but there's going to be a lot of kids that are very upset because they look forward to doing it so much. And I love them as well. It won't be the same without the kids. But also, nobody at stage door for autographs and photos. They're not going to allow that. You have to wear a mask when you go in, and there's loads of rules, which is, hopefully going to keep it going, because if one person gets COVID and we all have to isolate, that's the panto gone. So they're not. So like I normally have a party on New Year's Eve. Well, I'm not going to do it this year because it would be asking for trouble if people found out I had a big party in my house. when we got,
things are still very, very risky.
yes,
There are fears of another lockdown. But
well, absolutely. So, and that's one thing I try not to think about. But you're right. And what I've been told is that we have to be as safe as possible to keep the show going. It's to protect us, the artists, not the people and all that. That's what I've been told. It's, because it's such, it's such an awful thing, really. And, people have lost millions of pounds, the Pantos not going on and all the shows cancelled. And so we have to be very careful.
let's hope it's a happy and safe Christmas pantomime.
And it's been a pleasure to talk to you guys. I hope I've answered all your questions as best I can. And I wish you all the very best, loves.
It's been an honour and an absolute privilege this morning.
Well, it has been for me, Luke. Bless you, love. And you're such lovely people. It's been a joy to talk to you.
It's been an honour, Billy. And
Bless you, mate.
And
bless you, love. You're choking me up, mate. You are. No, you're choking me up. Bless you, love. It's all right. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. It's been a pleasure, loves. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again to Billy Pearce for talking to us. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and share. Bye.